Hey, this is Adrian.
My name is Stefan.
And this is
Table
Table
for
for
Four.
Four. So we're talking about money.
Yeah.
Money.
Saving for a rainy day. So we need to figure out, how do we do it? Who's going to show us? How are we going to figure this out? You know, when it comes down to saving for a rainy day, does everybody understand what it means? Saving for a rainy day?
No.
Is it? No?
No.
Saving for an emergency.
I think it means like maybe like saving up money for something important.
Like what do you think is something important though? Like what's important?
Money.
No. We know that part.
Saving up for money?
Saving up for money.
Maybe saving up for like a car, maybe a home, maybe vacation.
Right.
Maybe a wedding, maybe an event.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what it means for saving for a rainy day. So that can go into like a wedding. It can go into buying a home, things like that. So we have a special guest today. Today is Danny is with us on the phone call. Hey, Danny, what's going on today?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you?
What's up?
Danny is practically family. He's just one of the many family of the Aguilars that we're going to be interviewing and talking with. So he has been busy. He has been bartending. He has been doing all the management, everything, keeping busy this whole time. It took us maybe like 5 attempts for us to even get this interview. So I'm so happy he's with us today. Danny, I'm so happy.
No problem.
What's up, man? AKA Crypto Dan.
He is very funny.
So Danny works at the Burrito Bar in Staten Island, best place to go. So I'm going to, send those links to you guys to make sure you go and visit him. He's going to make you the best drink. Don't you worry about that.
Good.
So Danny, we're going to talk about money.
Yep.
Money.
Probably the most important thing, right?
Isn't it? It's what makes the world go round.
Yep.
So
Enround.
I would just like to just hear about your opinions and your understanding of the importance of money and, what to do, the saving for that rainy day. Let us know, because we all need to know.
No, absolutely. Right. So I think one of the most important things to understand about money, right, is that it is the tool that allows us to live the life that we want to live. Right. So, if you want to go on a vacation, if you want to go out with your friends, have a good time, go see a movie, buy a TV, you have to work hard to make that money to buy something. Right. And so for me, ever since I was a young kid, and if I ever wanted anything, I had to work for it. My parents had 5 kids, didn't have money coming out from left and right. So, if I wanted to get an iPhone, I worked as a paper boy from 13 years old for almost 12 years up until I was like about 22, 23 years old. Just made as much money as I could just to buy what I needed to do, So I bought an iPhone when I was young, been paying my phone bill ever since I was 12, 13. Still my sister's plan, but, I'm still
Little
paying
tot.
for it,
You know what?
When he was a little tot, he's been saying that.
He's a tater tot.
It's important, right? It's important to understand how money is used, how you can use that to your benefit. And honestly, if you really think about it, it affects your livelihood and the lifestyle you want to live. So
Right.
if you wanna go on vacation to Dubai or whatever, you need money for it. And so it's good to understand how to set a budget for yourself, and then from that budget, stay consistent with it, right? Because I think a lot of times most people who do, have a budget they don't follow through because I'm going to spend that $200 on a new pair of kicks, and oh my God, now another pair of sneakers came out. I'm going to spend another $200 on a pair of kicks, and they don't have a long-term mindset in place
Right.
to accomplish longer-term financial goals, right?
So when you talk about long-term goals, right? So I hear that there's a hustle. That's what I hear. I think that that's the most important thing when it comes to budgeting and saving for money and things like that. But like you said that when you were young, you were already buying your own things. So
Yeah.
who kind of gave you the guidance, that in the first place, or you just kind of learned on your own? Like how did that?
On my own, because I don't think my parents are that financially literate. Not to say my dad had a good job, my mom had a good job, but they had 5 kids. And that requires a lot of money, and so I couldn't just go to my mom, my dad, and say, you know what, can I have this or can I have that? It just wasn't feasible at the time. So I knew that if I wanted anything in my life, I had to work for it, and so that's why when I was 12, 13 years old, I got a paper route job, and I worked ever since. It's something that was kind of inherent inside of me, just to work hard, because when I was young, I just realized you needed money to do stuff. You know, and no one's gonna give me money, so I have to go out there and just
Ain't nobody gonna give it to you.
Yeah, no one's gonna give it to you, you know. So
just $20.
So that's kind of where it just came from.
Yeah, it's funny because like same touching base at what he said, you know, like same thing. My mom didn't teach Ro and I about money. You know, my mom was horrible. She's still horrible, but she manages now. But she never told us that, you know, like you have to save money, do this, do that. You know, like she always lived paycheck to paycheck.
And I think, I think a lot people still do, but I have the opposite from you. My mom's an accountant. My mom is like, so my mom like legit budget from the get.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always instilled in me early. Right. You know, I know that for me, I've had some issues with credit cards, but not to the point where it was something that I didn't know what I was doing. Right. And I was like, I knew exactly what I was doing and I knew what I was getting myself into. Right. So that was the hard part. That's a hard lesson that I had to learn later on. But
but you knew how to manage money when I first met you.
Oh, yeah. You
had a good job and she always paid all her bills on time, 800 credit score, everything.
Yeah. And it's just, I lost my job and I couldn't keep up. Yeah. I couldn't just keep up paying my stuff. So the thing is like, you have to live beneath your needs. Yep. So at the time that I was working, I was making good money at the time. I didn't have kids, so I didn't really have to worry about anything. So if I wanted to go buy something, I made sure I pay my bills first and then I go get whatever I wanted.
Right.
So then when I lost my job, I couldn't do neither. So I couldn't pay my bills and I couldn't get what I wanted. So
I'm gonna have to wrap it up.
Yeah. So what happened was mommy had to file, unfortunately, for bankruptcy because mommy couldn't keep it up, you know, paying the bills. So that's another thing, that credit score is another thing that goes hand in hand, that goes with money and budgeting and saving for that. So credit score is very, very important. So
yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, like in my case, I didn't know about credit cards because like my mom never told us about credit cards or anything. You know, when I went to college, they had the Bank America guy outside giving out college students credit cards left and right.
That's how they get all you guys, right? Like,
yeah. So that's what I did. I bought PlayStation here, Nintendo here. I'm just swiping away. Next thing you know, like if a year later, I can't even keep up because I'm only making like, at that time I was making.
No one tells you how to use it, right? And they're just telling you it's free money. It's free money. You could just swipe the card, go in the store, get whatever.
You get no interest for like 24 months.
You talking to me like interest? What? What?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Just give me the card. $2,000 limit and just swiping away.
And that's how they get you too, right? Like, 1 year, we know APR. All right, go ahead, spend as much as you want. Before you know it, that bill is like $3,000. And how you spend?
So I messed up my credit young, like 19, 20, 21 years old. I messed up my credit because, like I said, nobody taught me about credit. That how important it was growing up.
I mean, I'll tell you
now my credit is way better. You know, I paid off all my bills, everything. So luckily, fortunately, I never had to file for bankruptcy or anything.
Yeah.
So I was able to get out the hole and you know.
But it's important too. Like, you don't want to tell like all these kids that it's inherently bad, because in a way, like if you want to get an apartment, you know, you want to get a loan on the house, they get the system
credit.
Good credit, you know. But I think the line is teaching them how to be disciplined enough to pay that amount every single month. You know, pay it out in full. You know, don't even pay them, because they can tell you, pay the bare minimum. No, $35 now. You gotta pay.
No, it doesn't work. You gotta pay
$35 the interest.
It ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work.
And they don't even tell you too, right? Like banks and like all these credit card companies don't even tell you how like significant those APR interest rates are. Like over time, with compound interest, and it's gonna just be a lump sum at one time, you know. But they don't even tell you to take that same amount of money that you're using on a credit card and invest it somewhere else where you could get that same APR. Right.
But that's that vicious cycle though. And Danny makes a great point, because we don't know. How are we supposed to know?
And that's what it comes down to, right? Because our current school system doesn't teach you about personal finance.
No, they don't teach you about capital structure, capital infrastructure, anything.
You know, and that it begs the question whether or not they're trying to keep you down like that, right? Like the system was built to make us stay where we're at, you know, because why not teach us that?
Yes, Adrian.
I was going to say that why can't they teach us about like credit cards and money early? Because this is not the second grade. Like, add 5 cents to Billy and add 5 cents to, Jasmine.
I think.
Well, they teach you how to add.
Right.
They want you to count your millions.
That-
You know?
That's what they want you
But
to
we
do.
don't have millions yet. So
Yet, see, I like what you say. Yet,
Yeah.
see, and what happens is Danny makes a great point because when he was 13, he went out there. He's like, "Listen, I'm gonna go work on a paper route. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do so I can get the
Yeah.
things that I like." It's a difference.
As did I. You know, Rolando and I had a paper route
Right,
too.
and I hustled too. I hustled too because I was working. I had my work when you got that green working paper was 14, 13, 14, that little blue slip. It's like, I got my working papers. Yeah, I'm gonna go to work. So
I want to be a paper boy.
you can be paper.
I think they're really.
Nah, this
They're
is-
Somebody's coming my job, bro. No.
We're still young. We
This
can
little red
steal your
wagon, bro.
job.
Don't come in a little red wagon throwing
Mm.
papers.
but the thing
We
is,
have a
is-
bike.
no,
But I think I'll tell you this though. I think it instilled me good work ethic, regardless. You know.
Yes.
yeah, of course.
You know, I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, delivering papers. You know what I'm saying? And then even throughout college, I had to be on the ferry by 6:30. So I was up by 5:30 delivering papers. Went out to the city, went to school, came back, and then went back to burrito bar. You know, so like there was just that work ethic. I had to get things done. I'm gonna do it, and that's it.
Yeah, man.
But you know what it is? I feel like when it comes to
Yeah, it gives you discipline.
yes, absolutely, and you
And
kind of
become organized.
and that's what he's talking about before about being persistent,
Yes.
right? You got to be consistent when it comes to saving and to come to budgeting and things like that. You have to be consistent with it. But like when you think about like what are your own personal financial goals in your life though? Like what is like you know that you want to live a I'm trying to think of the right word. You want to live a life that you want to live, right? And you made a great point about it. Is like if you want to go to Dubai, you gotta work for Dubai money.
Yeah, Hawaii, you gotta work for Hawaii money.
You know?
You gotta save up.
And it's difficult in living in where we
In New York.
in New York, and it's just everything is just so
So
expensive.
expensive. And I'll tell you this though, I think a lot of people don't recognize the fact that things are just gonna get a lot more expensive going forward.
Absolutely, going
You know,
forward.
so if you're not saving that money, if you're not investing that money, then you're just setting yourself up for more trouble, more problems. You know. But for me, you know, it's gonna sound a little cliche, but you know, it's the same thing I said before. I just want to have I want to be financially free, right? Live on my own terms, and that's possible in today's age, right? Like we have all the tools accessible to us in terms of technology, apps, you know, phones that we could make money just from our phones.
Right.
You know, and so for me, I know knowing what I know now going forward, that's so attainable in the next
Right.
like 5-10 years. You know what I'm saying? It just requires discipline, working hard, staying true to it. But you know, I want to get to a point where you know I could provide for my mom, my dad. You know, they put their time in for me and my family. You know, and
Yeah.
they're gonna retire. And seeing what my mom's pension is, like she's gonna only, I don't want to disclose her information, but the money she's gonna be making on a pension is not gonna suffice.
Oh, dude,
You
same thing with my
know,
mom.
Yeah, the same thing with your mom too.
My mom
You know
is
what I'm
peanuts,
saying?
bro.
So it's like, all right, now I'm in a position where I know certain things. I'm gonna take it upon myself to go out there and take care of her, and I'm gonna make it my responsibility because you know she gave me the life she provided for me. Now I think it's my turn too. So I mean, those are kind of my financial goals. You know, of course I want to have a house, but that's later down the road. You know, so.
But I think that you made a great point that when it comes to our parents, now our parents, like I know for me, my mom was a money lady. My mom, I don't want to.
Saver,
My mom was a saver.
aka hoarder.
Oh no, she's not a hoarder. The right word is frugal. Don't pay him no mind, mom. Don't pay him no mind. But the thing is like I feel like I've gotten the persistence from her, like being really persistent on being on top of things and not like you cannot tell me nothing about being a bill being late and stuff like that.
Right.
I know that we always can run into different issues and different there's so many things that can go on in our lives, and finance is always one of those issues. But I feel like if you have some sort of game plan or some sort of backup plan, because my mom has a backup for a backup for a backup. So I'm the same way. I'm the same. Like if there's a backup, I'm like, all right, I don't have this, but I know where this can go.
Yeah, but your mom's backup is a mattress. It's money in the mattress.
No, don't say that.
It's not in the chinero.
The chinero.
Yeah, but yeah, remember, like we live in New York. New York's an expensive city.
Yeah.
The
Hands
average
down.
salary, it's around 51,000 a year.
I think you have to double check your numbers.
I did. I
because-
just did.
Yeah.
It's 51,000.
It's
Yeah, that's
51.
like the
That's the median.
And I feel like that's not
I
enough.
think that's a median for like the household. If I'm not.
That's what I was gonna say. The median
I
for
think
the
it's the
house per
household.
household. Yeah.
But that's still not enough.
But is
man.
that for a single
exactly.
couple? Is that for
Yeah, the median for the household is 51,000.
Yeah.
is that for a married couple, single
It
person?
doesn't say, but I'm pretty assuming it's.
We'll definitely
family.
check that out because
I think it's a married couple.
because that's crazy. Yes,
But
Adrian.
even that's not enough. You know,
Yeah.
like even
No way.
It says now the mean household income is 93,000.
Okay.
Everyone
That's
16 and
probably-
older with earnings.
Like
Yeah. See, that makes more sense. Those numbers. Yes, Adrian.
That's the mean income. The median is about
But you know
individual
what-
is
you know what's
51,000,
crazy
households
about-
57.
is
What?
that
That's crazy.
Per capita income is 35,000.
That's crazy, bro.
per person?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. No, you know what's even crazy? I heard this weird statistic where it's like, people who are even making over $100,000 a year are still living paycheck to paycheck.
Oh, 100.
Bro, I can tell you that.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like that makes you
Crazy.
like the question, like, can you even live in New York right now or anywhere? Like, specifically New York, right? Like, it's just so expensive.
I would also say Cali too. California.
I was
Yeah.
literally gonna say
Yeah,
California.
yeah.
Yeah,
see?
all these cities are pretty much around the same median. It's
Yeah.
Cali,
Wow.
Los Angeles, San Francisco, Texas. Well,
But what
Texas
do
is a little bit better, but the cost of living is less.
Right, right.
Florida, the same thing. Florida's
Yeah.
expensive.
All the major cities, Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It gets
Where do
crazy.
you go now then? What do you do?
Yeah,
You got no. We gotta all get into in our cars and we'll just go and camp for the rest of our lives. That's it.
Justin
There's
Ventura,
people who do
get off
that,
the
though. There's
grid.
people who do that, right? Like,
I'm hating on them because they don't have to deal with with everything that goes on with balancing a checkbook and trying to figure out how am I going to pay for these things, and then especially with COVID, with the pandemic coming in, and people unfortunately losing their jobs and not being able to pay their bills and almost being forced out of their homes and moving to different states and things like that. There's so many different variations and so many things that gets money gets so complicated.
And then not to mention the amount of money they're printing right now too, like hundreds and billions of dollars being printed, trillions at that, and no one tells you, well, inflation is going to affect the amount of money that you're going to be able to use, your spending power and all that stuff. It's like, you're not taught this, so you don't know, but like every single day your dollar diminishes in buying power.
Wow.
So what used to cost only $2, say a popcorn cost you, I don't know, 10 cents a couple years ago, 10 years ago. Now it's gonna cost you like $2, $2.50. It's like no one really accounts for that stuff, and like I know my mom used to tell me, I used to go to the movie theaters back in the 1960s. It was like 10 cents. Now
For
you
a
go
nickel,
now it's like $20 to go to a movie,
Nathan hot dogs a nickel.
Yeah, it's like
Thursdays after 5 p.m.
Stupid.
5 cent hot dogs every Thursday.
But
Nathan's.
the thing is like when you think about that difference in the percentage and the salaries don't match that as well. So that's another thing that there's always, you also have the gap between men and women, the way they earn. And then you have the gap between the different
races,
fields, right?
fields,
Races.
and is systemic racism.
Systemic
So those
racism,
it just go on.
a
and
lot.
on. It's a hot topic. If you
And I
ain't got money, it's crazy.
I think in today's age, one job isn't going to suffice. I think a lot of people understand that, and so they're looking for another way of getting income, whether it be like you're doing, like a podcast, or whether it be doing art or making music, or doing a side hustle, doing e-commerce. Like there's
Right.
something else that people will have to supplement their income with because it's just not going to be enough.
It's not. It's not.
I think probably one of the biggest things that you could teach your kids right now is learning to be adventurous and try a lot of different things, because that's the only way they're probably going to survive in the long run. Because we all see it, right? We know what's going on right now. Like the money, we see the numbers, we see the paychecks, we see how hard it is to get through things. Like, so that's probably the knowledge you want to pass down to them.
Yeah, nothing's getting cheaper. Like cable. Cable. We got rid of cable. We got internet. We pay $89 a month for internet, but now we have Netflix, Hulu,
Right.
HBO. We paying all these little
Right, and all
all
that
these
adds
little
up too.
streaming services. It adds up to what we had before,
And
Right.
Disney Plus.
and Disney Plus. You know, like it's
Right.
now they caught on to everything. You know, like before it was just like it's back in the days we used to they get the cheat codes. You know what I'm saying? Like for the game.
Right.
Now we got to pay for DLCs.
Yeah.
You know, you got to pay for subscriptions to get all these different weapons and stuff like that that were cheat codes before.
But I think Danny makes a great point about teaching us, our generation, whether we call ourselves, millennials or Generation Z, X, we have to teach our kids how to be more financially stable in that sense. But the sense it goes back to education, being aware, being, informed about what is going out there. How do we go about doing these things?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we, as parents have to teach them that as well.
Right. Like I save, when we give them money, these kids are frugal. They do not want to spend not $1.
They rather spend our money.
They rather spend our money, which is good.
Yeah, but
like
not
me,
good for you guys, but good for them.
Yeah, like me, I save. Right. Well, me, I'm fortunate to have a good job,
right,
where I make good money, but I'm still saving. I have my 401k.
Right.
And then I have another savings plan.
Right? Like people don't explain that too, right?
Yeah.
Benefits that come with certain jobs, like what you want to have. Like for me right now, it sucks because I don't have that, but I made it my business to go and learn about investing.
Right.
You know
See,
what I'm saying? Like
a lot of people don't do that.
The bartender, they don't know that. How do they increase their net worth?
Right.
That's how I figure. You know what? All right, I have money now. Where can I put it? How's it going to work for me? How can I make more money? How do I get dividends? And those are things that like these kids just have to start learning when they're young. Because I'll tell you right now, if Adrian and Stefan start investing right now, right? They're what, 10, 9 years old?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in 15 years, they could probably be sitting on $250,000 if they just start investing right now.
But that's what I started investing when they were little.
Yeah. And
but
so
then
I can imagine then,
Right. So it was what they called, oh my God, what is it called? It's not passive income. It's not that because it's something else. I forgot what it's called.
Is it, how are you doing it?
Well, when we first did it, we did it through Gerber, right? When we did the Gerber thing, we did the insurance for them.
Right.
And then at one point we had money, so we had to take it out because of emergencies and things like that. Like I had a savings and Andres had a savings. Okay. So things happen. We had to use both the money. And
the kids have their own stash capital.
Now they have their own stash each.
Right. Oh, okay.
So they each have their own. I have a custodial for them. Then I have a retirement, and then they have their own where they investment for stocks.
Just like $5.
So it's into life and like life term insurance too.
Yeah.
So
well, he has it. No, you have it.
Yeah, I don't know what's about for the kids. Well, the kids got the Gerber life insurance.
The Gerber, they have the Gerber.
I have my own insurance policy.
There we go.
Just in case anything. I pay a little hefty price every month, but they factor everything in. If you have a house,
that's also a way to make sure they're set. God forbid.
Yeah. God forbid anything happens.
But no one tells you that either, right? Like now today, I think because information is so accessible, now I'm able to learn about it. We're all able to learn about it. And if my dad knew that, like we'd be in a better position too. Like he'd probably be able to help us. But it's just going out there, learning information, and just doing it.
Yeah.
But these kids could be set in 15 years.
That's my goal.
If anything happened to me, they'll have generational wealth.
That's what we want. We're trying to build a legacy, and my mom's a smart lady though. Right. Like for me, like I felt like if there was like I can ask my mom for money, she'll give it to me. Hands down. But I'm not that type of person. I would never ask her for anything. Like if it wasn't an emergency, I would never ask her. But I want my kids to ask me the same question when they get older, because I want to help them put money down in their houses, or I want to help them pay for their college education if they want to go to college, because you know what?
Nowadays,
listen,
everything it's besides going to college. I think vocational trade schools.
Absolutely.
I think
that's what's
city jobs, state jobs.
Yeah. That's what gives you the benefits.
Now, right? I think Google or Facebook are putting out like training workshops. So you don't even have to have a degree. If you just come to like this 8-week long program, or I think it's like 6 months, you could just learn through them and they'll set you up with a job in Google and Facebook.
See, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that.
That's crazy. Yeah. So that's how it is too. Like you don't even have to go to school.
But my thing is, it's like it's still important to go to school to an
doubt.
extent.
Right, of course, because a lot of companies they really require a 4-year program.
4-year like
A
either
bachelor's
is it the
degree,
bachelor's degree and things like that. But
back in our days, it was an associate's.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Now that's like a high school
You have
diploma.
this
Now
now.
it's nothing.
It means nothing now. But that's the sad part, because it's like, again, it's that vicious cycle again. So you want to get the education so you could get a good job so that you can save money to buy the stuff that you want in your life.
Right.
But then you got to pay for college. So now what happens if your parents can afford it, then you have to take out that loan. Then you got that college loan. Now you in that vicious cycle again.
The worst part is that they're expecting kids who are 17, 18-year-olds, right, to make these long-term decisions that are going to affect them for the rest of their life, right? And most of the time they want to go out. They want to go to the University of Miami or they want to dorm somewhere because they want to have that life experience for that short amount of time, and then they're stuck paying that loan for 50 years.
Yeah,
I know people right now who are still paying like a $200,000 loan.
Yeah,
and they're still paying that.
They're still paying it.
Still paying it. What? You're 55. You have a kid and you have a house. Like
you're still paying your college loan.
You know, and it's like at a young age, they have to learn how to make that decision for themselves and what's going to be the best. Because for me, I was going to go to Albany. That was going to cost me $200,000. Like, why would I go away if I could just go to John Jay? $3,000 per semester. Whatever.
Holla.
Back in my days, it was like $1,600 a semester.
You know what it was? When I see inflation. Talk about inflation. A funny story is I got accepted to the University of Miami to go out there for the architecture program. 5 years. Nice. How much you think was per semester? Take a guess.
I'll say like 50 grand.
50,000, yeah.
50,000. Yeah. It was at that time, it was 28,000 a semester.
Okay.
So 5 years.
Yep.
Do 5 years, 2 semesters each.
50, so 50, almost like 25,000.
Yeah.
25,000.
I mean like
25,000.
250,000. Yeah, 250,000.
Okay. So imagine now I'm not even in architecture anymore. So deal with that. Now I decided to go into the medical field. So imagine spending that money, not even being in my field, and still got to pay my $250,000 loan.
Yeah.
With kids and losing my job and going through bankruptcy and
have a mortgage or a car
and have a mortgage and have a car on top of everything else.
There's just no
you know what I mean?
And
so
you're expecting that from an 18-year-old, like you can't. No.
So that's my fear for the kids, because I don't want them to do that. And thank God that I was blessed with scholarships and financial aid. Like the only reason I'm only taking out loans now because of going to nursing school is because Andres can afford it. You know, like if that was the case, I would have not taken out a loan. I would have done none of that. But they still have, the scholarships and things like that for other people to pay for their education. But I feel like education should still be free.
Yeah, we don't qualify for financial aid.
I know, but that's not the case. That's not the point.
Like my family didn't even qualify for financial aid, and me and my Sammy, Michelle, and Jen or Stephanie were all in school at the same time.
Yeah, you see,
like what?
I don't get that. I don't get it. How is it that you guys don't qualify? I don't understand.
I didn't get it.
Me neither.
My father made too much money, but no,
it's crazy.
All the other factors, like,
come on now. We still got to eat. We still got to travel. We still got to pay for books and things like that. So that's the unfortunate thing. But when I think about that cycle about with the college loans and things like that, I get so scared for them because I don't want them. I don't want that to happen to them. You know what I mean?
The mindset that we grew up with, right, was, go to school, get a good job, this, that, and the third. That's changing now. Like, the world's not the same place that it was 20 years ago.
No, it's not.
Everything that we learned when we were growing up, it's not. And I think the biggest thing to teach them is just learn to adapt with the times. And it's so much easier now for them to learn how to make money from their phones. There's a kid, I think he's only 13 or 14 years old, right? He learned e-commerce shopping, whatever, right? E-commerce. He's making, I think, $20,000 a month. He's 14 years old.
What?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's ways to figure out how to make money if you just apply yourself.
Right.
That's like the biggest thing you could tell these kids.
It was the same thing like with that other gentleman, that other little boy. He's like 9 years old. I think it's Jacob's Toys or something
that
like
does
that.
the reviews on YouTube?
My man.
He's raking money.
My man is bringing in 7 figures on YouTube reviewing toys. Like, how come I didn't jump on that? Like, my kids are funny.
Why wasn't I there? Why couldn't I have done that?
Like, why couldn't I do that? You know? So it's just like you make a great point that we have to follow the trend and we have to adapt. And I think us and our generation, we've been adapting as well because we're trying to rectify the mistakes now or the mistakes that I made in finance prior.
You gotta remember now, one thing that's changed from back in the days is having physical cash.
Yeah, that's another.
Oh yeah, that's close to non-existent.
Yeah, because everything's all digital now. You know, I go to work, I don't see cash. Everything just goes to an account.
Even me, right?
It's all the numbers.
As fast as it came in, as fast as it left.
I see that more so now, right, at the bar business, where 2 years ago I had so much cash coming into the place.
Now it's just it's all credit cards now, right? All debit cards, credit cards.
Now, it's like, what the hell? What's going on?
Yeah, you got to remember back in the days, a lot of these families didn't have credit cards.
Yeah.
Back in the 20s and 30s, so they didn't have to worry about being in debt because everything was physical. They saved up cash. Everything was paid for cash. Everything was done. So a lot of the 80, 90-year-olds that we have out there that are out there, they don't have that problem. I'm pretty sure now they probably have bank accounts, like credit cards, like small ones, stuff like that.
Because probably
but they never had that issue of going into debt right away, unless they didn't have a good enough paying.
That's a good point, right? Because credit cards weren't introduced until I think the 60s. Or 70s.
I think the 60s or 70s.
Right.
Yeah, because that's when they gave you the shops credit cards. Like you go to like a Macy's or an Alexander's or Woolworth, they would give you the credit card so that you can go ahead and only purchase their stuff at the store.
Right.
Not like the Visas and the MasterCards be like, oh, I could swipe anywhere. That's how the things has developed and changed.
I think when they first introduced credit cards too, they kind of misinterpreted how well humans would be with paying stuff back, right? Like the idea was to help stimulate the economy, get some more money into the economy so we could get more money, is that a third?
Right.
Like everyone fell into that credit card debt trap and then that was it from there. It's wild. It's a wild game. But if you don't learn how to play the game and learn the rules now, then you're just setting yourself up for more problems down the road. And I think like one of the biggest things that you could teach your kids, like having that budget, but like teaching them how to adjust that budget with the times, right? Like there's this like 50-40, I think 50-30-20 rule, right? It's like 50% of whatever you make of your income goes to needs, 30% goes to savings.
Goes to savings and
goes to wants, whatever it may be, For me, I adjust those numbers though, right? Like, and luckily you have to kind of like, you have to adjust it to your own personal life and situation, right? Like for me, I live with my parents, so I adjust that more so where it's like 30% goes to needs, 70% goes to investing, and like 10 goes to wants, but that just depends on, your own personal situation.
Right.
And I think that was also the need during, the last 10 years, I think that ever since the stock went down in 2008, a lot of parents like our generation didn't really affect it, but like our parents, our grandparents who have money that have invested that wanted to do the savings and be ahead of it, lost their life savings.
Right.
And that was the most unfortunate thing when that happened. So then now how do you teach, or how do you go back and get that money back again? You're losing all this. You lost all your money, your life savings. How do you gain that back if you're you're at retirement age at that point?
Right, but they didn't lose this money. The companies that they work for made bad choices when it came to investing.
Yeah.
But does that apply to almost also?
It applies to every employer, because like even my employer, like if the market was to go down, my pension and my 401k, everything is affected.
I'll tell you this though, the 401ks and all that stuff. It's basically investments into the stock market, right?
Yep.
And it's usually like the S&P 500. So you're talking about the top 500 companies in the U.S.
500
right?
companies, right?
So
right.
those are never going to go out of business, right? So when you do see the stock market fall, or there is a correction where, you know, like 2008, and even recently last year, 2020, right, where the stock market dropped like, I don't know, 40%, 50%.
I think it was like 40% it dropped, I think.
Something like that, right? But no one tells you during that time emotions are really out there, right? But they don't tell you that's probably the best time to buy. That's when everything is discounted, you know? And I remember reading this book by Tony Robbins, and he goes, the richest become richy and rich. They become, well, what he said, he was like,
The rich get rich, the poor get poorer.
Blood in the streets. So when it's red, that's when you buy. Everything's discounted, you know? And it's scary because things going to keep going down more, but that's when you want to buy.
Right.
You know? And it's the scariest thing.
Have them repeat that again, because I think we missed it.
We missed it. Repeat that again, Danny.
I think so. I think the best time to invest is when there's blood in the streets, right? So when the market's down and it's red, that's when you get everything for a discount,
right?
You know, so an Apple stock, right? So Apple drops 50%, it goes from $200 to $100. You think Apple's really going to go out of business? You think the stock's going to go to zero?
That's what I brought.
You know what I'm saying? So you buy when they drop, and so then in the year you make that money back, if not more. You know, it's a game. It's all the game. You just gotta learn how to play the game.
It's always about a game. But I want to go back to what you mentioned before about how everything is all digital now. Like you mentioned, like Andres was saying about how every time he goes anywhere to the store, anything, you don't see no money, no cash. Everything is all digital. See it coming in, don't see it coming out.
Right, exactly.
So when you think about crypto, like what are some of the things like when we're trying to explain to the kids, like, you know, like what is crypto and things like that? It's like
the simplest way that I could explain it to kids and probably anybody is that it's essentially like internet money, right? And if you look at the evolution of money across time, you see that it started off with barter, right? You're exchanging one thing for, say, an apple for an orange, or you're exchanging, you know, corn for whatever. Then became cash, right? And then there was like other stuff. So the form of money is always going to change, and now we're entering an age where it's just going to be all digital, and that's just how value is going to be able to be transported over time and from place to place, right? Like people believe in gold for a while, but it's so hard to ship gold. You know, it's cost a lot to ship gold. Now, if you talk about Bitcoin, you're talking about a store of value, right? And you could transport it to the other side of the world in 10 minutes.
Seconds.
You know, I mean, Bitcoin takes a little longer, and they're trying to, you know, upgrade the technology, so it's a lot quicker. But
but it's still faster than Western Union.
Right, and that's another thing, though, right? Like, because right now you're going to send money through a third party like Western Union to Mexico, right? You have a relative in Mexico, and you want to send money to them. It's going to take them a while because now you're talking about a third-person party getting involved and your bank, and they have to verify that and
the fees, and all the fees that
and
come
all
with
that stuff. Now, the way the financial system is going to change is with your phone, right? Like it's literally there's going to be a point where I'm not going to say it's going to happen right now in our lifetime, but there's going to be a time where banks become obsolete because we don't need your services anymore. Why are we going to pay you a certain fee or percentage when we could just do it ourselves with our phone? Like it gets into a whole bigger. And
he makes a great point because at this point, like we have the access to our banking online on our apps, right? I remember when we first were looking at our bank accounts. I'm like, how am I able to look at it on my phone?
Exactly. You got to remember these banks are going to want to stay in service. Yeah. You know, so they're going to either get with the program or just become obsolete.
And a lot,
and 90% of the banks right now, they are finding ways to add cryptocurrency to their repertoire.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, so many banks.
Oh, somebody has a question. What's that?
You have a question, Stefan?
He said, what's that?
What? Repertoire?
Yes.
Into your arsenal.
What's an arsenal?
Basically into their list of their
services,
of their services, their products, and what they want to service and give to the people.
Okay.
You know, so they want to add cryptocurrency because you have another. Now, when we talk about crypto, I know this is another subject, but you got all these blockchains, all these different NFC technology that are kind of it's called DeFi, right? DeFi, the bank.
Decentralized finance, I'm so huge on it. So he
You
was
know,
gonna-
so basically they want to definance the banks because they feel like this is a better way and it's more secure and
yeah,
it's
and it's more
and
democratic too, right?
yeah, so it's
The power is not in the hands of a select few who can make the decision for you. You know, like the banks are going to be saying, "Oh, well, we're not going to, we're not going to process this payment because this, that, and the third." You know, like
I
now
think
the power's back in our hands, the people.
absolutely. And I think the other thing is like you made a great point that everything is on the phone. So now I don't have to depend on a bank that I have to go physically go. They only work from Monday through Friday or whatever. If I'm online, I'm working 24/7. The money's working for me. So
Right.
that's another thing that you have to take into consideration when it comes to that. So my thing is like, what will be the standard? You know, is the standard going to be where I'm going to put my money back in under my mattress again?
Yeah.
Or do I put everything out in digitally? And like you said, we have to adapt. And it's like, so that's what we have to try to show the kids how to save and working hard and having some sort of, I'm trying to find the right word. It's like, you almost want to give them the life lessons to learn that we've learned
right now.
Right now,
we didn't have,
or what we didn't have.
Right
now, we're starting to learn now.
We're trying to give them the tools to succeed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I work in school.
But do you earn cash?
We're not working in school right now because we're on summer break. But Danny, I want to know a little bit more about the different generations' idea of saving.
Right.
Like, I would love to hear a little bit more about that.
I think that when you talk about our parents and stuff like that, the idea of saving wasn't really at the forefront of their mindset and their thought process. I think that's more so like I could see that with my parents, and that's just to say that's just from my personal experience and from my own parents. But they weren't taught that, right? And I think now more so than ever, because there's so much information accessible to us, a lot of kids and a lot of people our age are saying, all right, it's important to know about financial literacy. You know, it's important to know what to do with our money. Because my mom was telling me that my dad had he was living paycheck to paycheck. You know what I'm saying? But he had a good job and he could have saved some money, but he didn't. You know, like I think it's again, times are changing and the mindset collectively is a lot different now. Because I think now we know, you know, that we can live the life we want to if we really just apply ourselves.
Right.
You know, I don't know. It's different now.
It's so different. And you know what it is too? Like, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to talk about, because this is going to be another episode, because There's so much that we could talk about. But is there anything else that you want to add to this? Because I think this conversation has been awesome. I mean,
no, I love this conversation. I think, you know, just to keep telling the kids, you know, money lessons each and every day.
Save
for a rainy day.
Save for a rainy day.
You know, save more than you spend. You know, earn more than you spend, and you know you'll be fine. And invest. You know,
and always pay your bills on time.
Yep.
Oh, yes, Adrian has a question.
Go ahead, Adrian. Go ahead.
I have only $10. What do I do with that?
Is it in cash, or is it in a credit card or a gift card?
Cash. Real money.
Okay, I know what you want to do with it, so I don't know why you asking.
You don't know what I do with it. It's
You know,
none of your
business.
business.
You want Roblox?
Yeah,
no, that's not what I want. If I want to buy something from the store, or like buy something that can permanently change my life for the rest of my life.
Something to permanently change your life ain't gonna happen with $10. Sorry.
Yeah, it is.
You could buy a lotto ticket, but you're not 21 yet.
That's gambling at that point, though.
No gambling.
No
gambling.
You know
No
what I'm
gambling.
saying? At that point, you might as well just throw into the market. So at least
just go to Las Vegas or something.
That's still gambling.
That's still gambling.
Yeah,
buy
but
a
I'm not
couple of Apple
gambling.
stock if you could. $10, you know.
We went to Las
$10
Vegas.
can change someone's life. I can exchange it for more things.
You know,
It was
so
like this.
$20, you
Book,
make
it was
it
like
one
this
to-
book that I
$10
read.
Listen,
back in-
I'll take your $10. You give it to me, and I'll buy some Shiba.
There you go.
But
That's
yeah,
funny though, right?
What?
Because back in 2011, someone bought like Bitcoin with $10, and he had like I don't know how many coins at the time, like
That's
500
crazy.
coins. Now today,
The millionaire.
it's ridiculous.
The thing is, there's like this story where the guy like traded a paperclip, like, and then like got like a boat, and then I got like a mansion or something. He kept exchanging things.
Does this happen in real life or in a book?
Pretty sure it
Sounds
happened in
fiction to me, bro.
I know, but imagine like
It's
that in real
obviously a
life.
dream.
Yeah, it's
But
obviously a
but
dream.
there is someone that is real that exchanges money, and he saved up. Saved up money for an ice cream truck, and he got the ice cream truck, by the way. So he saved up the
Of
money.
course you can. You have to work for an ice cream
No,
truck.
because he was exchanging. Like he was giving people stuff, and then in exchange, he would get stuff back. But then he would also get stuff back more. He would get either money or something in exchange.
That's called a barter.
It's bartering. Yeah, Sammy was talking about that
Trade.
before.
And-
Trading.
And yeah,
So back in the days, remember we were talking about this and about the museum, right? There were beautiful bullions, coins. They had you're changing for silks, you're changing for spices. That's how people traded back in the day.
Right.
So now how we trade is all digital. Everything is digital. I don't got money in my hand. Who said it the other day that was so funny that back in the day when you used to give your mom and dad your money, like you would never see it. Like if you had a birthday party or a sweet 16, that money, we never saw it. Why you laughing, Daddy? Because it happened, right?
Yeah. That was it. Didn't get that
It's
money
to pay
back.
for your party.
It was to pay for your party.
silly goose.
But that's the thing. Like I feel like when it comes to putting that money away and saving for a rainy day, it's always important that even us as older, people, I don't want to say old people, but for us, we're still learning, and that's why we're trying to impart our knowledge into, into the kids. And, again, it's also about reading up and being educated and being open to
saving money.
saving money.
I think one
Financial.
too is if you look at your money from like a net worth and net income stance, right? Like look at yourself as like a portfolio, right? Like me as Daniel Aguilar, I'm worth this amount of money. 5% is going to be in cash. Everything else is going to be into assets that appreciate over time. Right. So like for me, I have 5%. That's probably going to be, my 6th month of emergency savings. Right now, once that's accounted for and that's put to the side, so that includes, all your bills, say you have a mortgage, car payment. Once that's all aside, now you're sitting on a cushion and you're fine, you're set, right, and you're safe. Everything you make after that going forward, what are you going to do with it? You're going to put it in things that are going to appreciate, or you're going to go out and spend it on, all these games, things that you want. Like it depends on what kind of lifestyle you want to live. And for me, it's like, I make this much. I have 5% put away already. Now, how do I increase my net worth over time? And that means going into stocks. That means going into crypto. That means even flipping and buying stuff. Like I just saw a podcast the other day with Gary Vee. Spent $200, right, at some garage sale. Bought like 10 boxes of like some Chinese books. That thing, $200 became $15,000.
What?
Yeah.
Chinese books, all for that for Chinese books.
Yep.
No, I think
But they were like probably like
they were
hidden
probably
gems in
they were
those-
probably
in those
hidden
boxes,
gems.
yeah.
Exactly.
It is,
Yeah.
though, so you could also like there's ways to make money, but no one teaches you these things. Like I could probably go to like 500 garage sales in Staten Island and found something that's valuable, and it could probably just cost from like $2, $3, $10, like Adrian was talking about. Like there's ways to flip that money, and just not spending on crap. That's why I'm so frugal. I mean, I know you guys, on top of me all the time about being stingy, but would I rather sacrifice these next 2 years of my life, work as much as I can, make as much money as I can, and invest it as fast as I can at the prices that they are right now, to be sitting well in 3 years, 4 years? That's the bet I'm willing to take right now. I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
He's a believer. I like
He's a believer.
I like it.
He's a believer. He got faith.
So I mean, listen, hey, you know what? You guys persuaded Cal to send me to Mexico, so whatever. I'm gonna go with it. It's gonna be a good time. I think I definitely worked hard for it. But
just sometimes you gotta have fun too, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely am. But I do think that I'm making the right sacrifices right now for the long term, and we'll see where it goes.
And then you can build that generational wealth for your kids.
And then listen, again, it's also just throwing that money in the right places, whether it be real estate, whether it be the stock market. Because again, the stock market right now has been the biggest vehicle of wealth transfer in history, right? And people don't know that. People don't understand that because they're not taught that. So you got to use what the tools accessible to you to make that income for yourself, for your family, for your kids, because no one's gonna do it for you, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
not, like I'm fine right now because of my parents, but I know this is not where I'm gonna be forever. And so
Right.
how am I gonna prepare myself for that time?
And I think the other important thing that you made another point about using the time and using that money wisely. Like now that we've like saved and now that we are in a better situation, paying off debt, because debt is another silent killer.
Right.
That's another thing. Like I feel like when you are young and you collecting the debt and you don't know how to pay it back,
Right.
debt is another thing that glooms over everybody's finances. So when we put ourselves in a position where you don't have the debt that's glooming over you, you kind of feel a little bit lighter and say, hey, you know what? I know this is what I want. 5-10 years down the line, this is what I plan to do.
Right.
So sometimes you have to gotta give yourself the goal for the day, goal for the week, goal for the month, goal for the year, and then go from there.
And that's
Right.
the thing, right? You have to have a long-term mindset.
Yeah, you have to. You have
If
to.
you don't, if you let impulse decision and impulse buying affect you now, you're not going to get to where you want to be.
No, you don't. And I think it was a hard lesson to learn. I was still learning, but we're in a better position now.
Right.
So like Dirty and I, we've been talking about looking into passive income, like using the podcast as one form.
Right.
We were looking to see maybe we can invest into investment properties because we each have our degree in architecture. We can help design, but that's because we have two different things going on because we're so creative on different
Right.
wavelengths. Like you mentioned before, like you got to be creative on some point.
Yeah.
So that's how we're trying to look to find our skills and use it to our best advantage.
Right.
So I think that's something important.
For it though, right? Because
Absolutely.
a lot of people are too distracted on the noise of other things, about going out, having a good time, and standing there. And I get that, there's a time and place for all that. But when you're going out like 5 days a week, spending all that money, like every time I go out and I spend money, I look at it and I compare the amount of hours. Yeah,
when those bills are paid, I cry.
No, I cry. I'm like, damn. Like, now think about it in terms of time too, right? Like, okay, if I go out, I spend $200. I'm gonna need to work a whole shift for that back, or whatever it is. So now I'm losing time because I spent $200 in liquor or for the night. I mean, I get it, but like, damn, I kind of put it in perspective that way too, But it's a wild world out there in finance.
It is. But then how do you plan for emergencies? That's the thing. Like it's good to put it on paper.
Right.
Like everything looks good on paper. Like, yeah, I'm gonna put 30% this, 50. Right. Yeah, all those numbers sound good. But then when it comes down to an emergency and when life smacks you in your face.
Anything is an emergency.
No. Yes, for you, an emergency? Oh, that TV's on sale. I want to go get it. That's an emergency. That's not an emergency.
Let me dip.
So those are the things like, because
that comes from creating good habits, right? Like,
right.
It just come down to you being disciplined enough to make the decision that, regardless of not, I make this amount every week. I'm putting this amount away for emergencies.
Right.
And people don't have that power, inside them. They don't have that power to be that disciplined.
All I know is at the end of the day, when this man says, "Oh, Stephanie, this is on sale," and I said, "Yeah, and what that mean?"
Right.
That means nothing. That means nothing. So, for me, I sometimes feel like I can be on top of him because I want him to save. Yeah. And then there's other times that I'm like, he works hard. Yeah. If he wants to get it, let him get it.
Well, listen, right, if you have that certain amount that covers all your expenses for 6 months to a year, you should be fine. Right. And then if there's extra money, he could spend whatever he wants.
Right.
Right. Because it's the perfect testament too, right? Like if you had saved up about 6 to a year's worth of stuff when COVID happened last year, you're not worrying about all the other stuff that goes on.
Right.
Because you made the right decision and you made the right sacrifices beforehand, knowing that. Now, who knows to say what's going to happen now? Because that was a rarity, right?
That was a rare occurrence. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that's a perfect example of what happens in instances of emergencies,
Yeah.
right? So it's crazy.
It is. It is. But Danny, I want to thank you for participating with us on this podcast today.
Had a great time.
We have to come. You got to come back for another episode. We got to talk about finance. We got to talk about anything else you want to talk about.
Right.
I mean, you've been an awesome guest.
Except the Yankees. We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, right here, baby.
But Danny, let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at _Danny Aguilar on Instagram. That's where I post a lot of stuff in regards to finances. I've been a little, lazy on it recently, but
You lazy? Never.
lazy in terms of that. But yeah, I'm always working. So if you're not you can find me anywhere. I'm either at the bar or probably sleeping. So
yeah, well, shout out, aka Crypto Dan.
Yo, that's gonna be your new tag thing,
Crypto
right?
Dan.
That's not gonna
and
be.
listen, we definitely have to have a conversation about crypto again.
Oh
definitely.
yeah, most
We only
definitely.
scratch
That's
the
the
surface.
future, and I do think that after everything that I've seen, that's probably one of the best places to keep your money in the long term.
His new name is now Crypto Dan.
I believe it. I believe it. I believe in the crypto.
Crypto.
Keep buying Bitcoin, keep buying Ethereum, and you'll be fine.
I've been buying, bro. That's all I've been doing. I
Keep
buy
buying those.
every week.
Those
Every
two,
week I've
that's
been
what I can
buying.
tell you. Those two, that's it. You'll be set.
That's all I've been buying, bro. All right, guys.
Nice.
Thank you guys again. Thank you so much, Danny, for participating with us. You family, you're coming on for another episode. We got to talk money, money, money.
Yeah, buddy.
Thanks, everybody. Say bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a great day.
See you on the next episode, guys.